Hey everybody, welcome to Craft of the Yeti. Last year, I started a Harry Potter-themed Christmas village for my wife by making Hagrid's hut. This year, I'm adding Ollivander's wand shop. I'm taking my inspiration from Ollivander's wand shop in Hogsmeade from the game Hogwarts Legacy. I don't match it 100%, but I'll get pretty close with these reference images. The first thing to do is to lay everything out. I'm making the walls out of dollar store foam core. I also am using a template for the door size in an attempt to keep everything to scale. I've drawn the floor height on each piece of foam as I cut them out. I then add doors and windows to the walls. Can't forget the stairs or the chimney. These are rough guides I'll use as I go throughout the build. With everything planned, I stick the walls together with hot glue. After the glue has cured, I start pulling off the black paper. Not all of it is very easy. I then texture the entire building with a foil ball. The top floor will be plaster, but the bottom two floors are made of stone. So I get to practice drawing rocks once again, using a pen with no ink. Here are all the rocks. The next part I'm working on is the decorative display windows. This was a pain and I had to stop and come back a few different times. I'm cutting out a section as well as the front door. I then create circular templates out of chipboard and inserted them as placeholders. I wasn't sure how to proceed with that section, so I moved on to the chimney, which was created out of XPS foam. I cut the shape out on my hot wire table, then textured and drew rocks off camera. I glued the chimney onto the building with hot glue and moved on to the wooden frame. Corners of the foam building didn't look great, so I cut them out and replaced the corners with these square dowels. Back to the storefront. The sign is created using plastic card that I textured with a push pin. I tried a whole bunch of different things made of wood before I landed on this plastic card. The rest of the wood trim was done with thin strips of balsa wood. This is the chimney side. The same process was used on the other sides of the store. The right-hand side of the building has a stairway that leads up to what I assume are the living quarters. The stairs are made out of XPS foam and are attached using hot glue once more. Back to the storefront again. I had a few ideas for what I was going to do here and none of them worked until I cut these circular bits out of balsa wood for some decoration and trim to set the sign apart from the rest of the building. Now on to the window boxes. I liked the way these stuck out of the building in the game and replicated that with balsa wood and PVA glue. I'm almost ready for the roof, but before I can do that, I need to get the electronics sorted. I bought this pack of tea lights on Amazon. I'll be using quite a few of the flickering LEDs to light the windows and doors of the building. So I pull the rubber flame off, then pull the bottom off, then extract the battery, all with some pliers before I can finally extract the LEDs. I'm saving the batteries for another project. And each light was tested with my battery pack as I went along. Before things get too crowded inside, I wanted to show you how I attached the LEDs. Many needed XPS spacers that were painted and glued. I then hot glued the LEDs onto the spacers. I made sure to do lots of testing between soldering. Off camera, I wired everything in parallel and glued it all in. This is the tangled mess that is my wiring, but it all works, and that's the important thing. The base of the roof is chipboard that I hot glued onto the walls. The chimney side also had dormers in the game. I made those out of foam core and cut holes for the lighted windows. Speaking of windows, I made these out of the plastic container from some trees I got at the dollar store. I added both matte and glossy Mod Podge to test which one I liked better. I learned this method from Kernel of Truth's miniature issues on YouTube, link below. I went with glossy. The plastic was attached to the windows with PVA glue, and the windows were then attached to the building. The upper floor has wand boxes on display. I made these out of matchsticks and painted them brown. Off camera, I glued in many more. I wanted wands on display in the bottom floor window. Those were made out of paper clips that were bent a bit and painted a few shades of brown. Off camera, I finished the circular display windows. These were a pain to do, and I could not get a good filming angle while also getting the windows to stay in place. They were made with the same window plastic and plastic card. There are 2 doors on our building. I made these out of thin sheets of balsa wood. I cut out the windows and made the handles out of plastic card and a bent paper clip. I found the easiest way to attach the handles was to spray the door with activator and add the super glue to the paper clip. Once they touch, the bond is close to instant. Now on to shingles. I cut these very thin with my hot wire table and textured them with a wire brush before cutting them to size with my hobby knife. I glued these to all the various roof sections with hot glue. The metal roof caps were made with food-grade cardboard. I scored the middle to get a good bend in them before gluing them to the roof. While attaching the shingles, I ran them long, and here I am cleaning those up with a new sharp blade. Finally, we're ready for paint. I want to prime everything in burnt umber. I've seen that if you just snap your fingers, your project will prime themselves. I guess I'm not quite at that crafting level yet. Manual painting it is. Rather than talk about painting and detailing from here, I thought it'd be fun to discuss the history of Ollivanders. Most of this info I got from the Harry Potter wiki. It was believed that in 382 BC, the original Ollivander arrived with the Romans to set up a stall and manufacture and sell wands to British wizards. The stall was later turned into a shop. Ollivander believed British wands at the time were crudely made and inferior in quality and performance. There are 2 known locations of Ollivander's wand shop, one branch in Hogsmeade, recreated here and in the video game, and the other in Diagon Alley, made famous by the books and movies. The Hogsmeade branch was located on High Street and was run by Gerbold Ollivander during the late 19th century when the game takes place. The Diagon Alley branch was run by Garrick Ollivander during the Harry Potter book and film timeline. The shop is described as narrow and shabby, with peeling gold letters over the door that read, Ollivander's makers of fine wands since 382 BC. With all the painting done, it's time for the good bits. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more.